Alright, so in this stream we are going to be going over some user settings. I'm going to be showing you how to create them for languages. People have asked me for user settings before, so like they don't have to, update the whole config and all that kind of stuff. Or they can just let me do the updates, I guess, or the community do the updates to the, most of NVCode, and then they just, swap out some stuff, in a user settings file. And I'll show you how, or at least my kind of rudimentary approach to doing that. So as always, you can find me over on my blog, over on my website, links to all my social media in the top right, and I guess to this, I have to update that picture. You can find me on Twitter. I'll be posting, when I do regular videos again, I'll be posting videos onto here. I haven't really been posting my live streams, but whatever. When I do like small form videos and other stuff, I'll probably start doing that. Maybe I'll even start posting these. I'd rather you be following me on Odyssey. Let's see if I have any more followers than last time I checked. Yeah, a few people are picking that up. That's cool. Definitely would rather have more support on Odyssey than YouTube. And you can find me over my GitHub, obviously, if you want to watch, I'll push everything up after I'm done with the video, or maybe even intermittently during the video, so you can, find all those changes over here on NVCode. You can find me over on Patreon and support me over on here if you like what I'm doing and you want me to do more of it. This is a good way to get me to do that. Also, if you're a Patreon person and you want me to implement some sort of feature, I'll be more likely to do it for you. And I'll probably just read chats as they come in, so, as I'll come in and check in on this and read your guys' suggestions. You guys are pretty helpful when I'm kind of live doing this stuff anyway. People give me good suggestions for things. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to go into here. Nope, not there. We want to go to Vim. Alright. Now, this is what I've got so far. So we have this nvsettings.lua in the root of the project. Now, right now, this is managed, and it's actually up on my repo, but soon I'm going to remove this so that you can put in anything that you want to put in. And so what happens is there's just this, again, rudimentary global object called O, capital O, right? And capital O handles things like this. What you can do is you can set like the color scheme. And it's got, because it's an object in Lua, it's already got natural autocomplete if you have like the Subneco Lua language support. So you can do like O dot, and then here's your options, right? So, and you can even see here like, okay, well, let's go to Python because I have Python implemented. What does Python get me, right? So I can do auto format with Python. I can set that to false or true. Diagnostics, there's a whole table of diagnostics. So if you want to enable virtual text, if you want to enable the underlines, if you want to enable the signs in the sign gutter over here, you can say like, yes, true or false for diagnostics. Let's see what else. Yeah, isort. And then you can choose your linter. Now, I don't have all the linters and all the things set up yet. I'm hoping, more people from the community will do things like that too, but I'm going to set it up for languages that I use. And then if, someone comes in and they're like, I want to set this up for C++, it'll be like, all right, well, go watch this video and you can see how I'm doing it. So yeah, so like I'll show you what I already have. So like, for instance, like this is like the a sign and this is an underline, right? And this is in Lua, so it's different, and I don't have it all working for Lua yet. But I'll show you what I mean. So, for instance, I don't even have auto format set up yet, but I will in the future. But so, okay, we have virtual text, signs, and underline equal to true. So if we go into config and Vim, and we open up, I just have this test.py, right? You see that we have underlines, and you see that we have like a sign. And this is actually Flake 8 telling us about this problem. Pyrite doesn't care if you have all that big space there, right? So now if I come over here, right, and let's do virtual text, we'll set that to false. We'll set diagnostics signs to false, and we'll set underlines to false, and we'll get rid of Flake 8, right? Now, we also have Yapif, the formatter set over here too. So if I do space LF, it'll format for me, right? Now, it should still do that now, but without things now. See, we turned off virtual text, we turned off signs, we turned off the underline, we turned off Flake 8. So now Flake 8 isn't attached. Nothing's attached, right? You could even swap out Pyrite, which is a static checker, if you wanted to. But I don't have the implementation for that yet because it takes a little bit of time, right? So now what we still have is we still have a formatter. Okay, so we can format, right? Still, because we set the formatter over here. Now what if we got rid of the formatter, right? So we'll save that. I don't have it set to like do in real time yet. That would be nice. But now I'll try to format and nothing happens, right? Even if I put in the command for formatting here, nothing happens. Now if I bring it back, obviously, space LF, and I can format again. And if I, come over here and toggle these things, like auto format I'll set up soon, that'll be an auto command. But if I toggle this, if I toggle this, if I toggle this, and I bring back Flake 8, and how I get Flake 8, it's real easy, right? Like if you go like this, o.python.linter, and it's in there, like it's autocomplete. You can see like, oh, there's an option for a linter. What is it? It's a string. Okay, well then that string, well, what is it? Like, oh, okay, well, I want to use Flake. We'll do single quotes. I want to use Flake 8, right? And then I'll put other ones in the future, probably for Python or stuff like that. So now we'll save again. We'll come back in, and now Flake 8's here. We get underlines. We get virtual text. We get signs. We get all the things. We still have the formatter. There you go. And so you can do whatever you want, right? Like you can have any, plethora of things. Now, the other thing I'm going to set up too are executable paths for these things, right? So like a YAPF executable path. So if you want to install it in a virtual environment and then use it across all your projects, or install it globally, or only install it in a particular project, or use a particular version or whatever, you can set an executable path here. Same for Flake 8, same for iSort, right? Same with the color scheme. So like, okay, we'll get rid of this entirely. And I think I have a default color scheme. So like color scheme. See, it's by default, it's NVCode. But what you could do is you could set it to one of the other ones that I have. And if you want to know what they are, you can do S for search, U, I guess for I put like user interface or whatever. And here's all of the color schemes, right? So you could put in Aurora. We'll save that. Whoops. We'll come back in. And now it's in Aurora. So now you can choose what color scheme you want. And you even have the option to go over to my color schemes repo and add in a color scheme that you like, right? And then I will accept that, right? And then it will be here. So you can have any color scheme that you want. Another thing is that I already have set up is something like, see how we have autocomplete? Well, you can come over here, toggle it off, come back in here, we'll start typing, and you don't have any autocomplete, right? So these are the options I'm going to try to expose to users, so they can just put whatever the hell they want, and they don't have to worry about configuring Vim, doing all this shit, right? Like basically the only thing you're going to have to do is when you get in here, you have to do lsp install Python, right? Once you have Python, then you come over into the NVCode settings, or the NV settings, and then you just look at all the options you have for Python. And then choose whatever you want. Diagnostics, signs, underline, virtual text, whatever it is, right? And so that way you can just, have the experience that you want to have. And it's good for me too, because sometimes I want to toggle this stuff on and off, and I'd rather do it all in one file rather than, jump all over my config and do it all in different crazy places. All right, what's up, guys? So Varen, can't say that, so just Varen. I must have missed it if you already mentioned, but is airline still your status line? Looks different than before. No, I use Galaxy Line. Yes, I use Galaxy Line. Yep, and you know too. Raul, that's interesting. How did you get the underline to only underline the error rather than the whole line? I don't know, it just does that. Hello, Chris, I don't get it. Do you use NVim DAP for debug? What about Vim Spectre? What don't you get? Do you not get what I use for debugging? I use NVim DAP for debugging right now, but I don't really have it set up perfectly yet. I just haven't gotten around to it. Anyway, so yeah, so that's what I'm going to be working on today. So what we're working on right now is I have most of the Python stuff done. I should probably add these executable paths, but I'll do that later. Let's swap this back to NVCode. Let's give me autocomplete again. What is this? Also mixer. Oh, it's because I did that. I did Super A instead of Control A. Okay, and now I got rid of my thing. Let's jump back over here. All right, MV settings. There we go. So now Control A, which will toggle that. And we don't have auto format set up yet. I will do that at some point once I have all my auto commands in one place. But yeah, so what we're going to be working on next is porting this for all of the different linters and different things. Now, I actually already have it set up for Lua, I think. Yeah, Lua format, and then you insert, you do table insert, Lua arguments with Lua format, and then I should have Lua arguments down here. Yeah. So Lua format should work. Now, in the future, too, I'm going to be swapping this out for a path as well. So you're going to be able to put like a path to wherever Lua format is for you. Same with Yapif, same with iSort, same with whatever, right? So the next one I'm going to do, because I just have it here, is bash. So we're going to do bash, and instead of this, we're going to do, and really we should just call it shell. But we'll do this, because that's what it is under file types, right? It's under shell. So let's do, even though the language server is called bash ls, whatever. Well, let's call it sh arguments. So now, let's see. We have this. Now this file's getting ugly too, by the way. And so I have a to-do here, and if anyone wants to take it on, all you have to do is create a folder under EFM, and then create a, a file per, like Python, Lua, blah blah blah, right? Bash, and then after that, you just expose the table from this, and then you just read it into the main EFM guy right here, this LSP config, and you just pass the arguments in. That's what I'm going to do in the future. I'm not going to do it now because I'm lazy, but that's something for later. So shell arguments. This is like our shell arguments thing here. It's a shell arguments table like we had for the other stuff. We want to pass this. If we got it, we want to pass formatting, and we want to pass shell check. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, we'll just grab this. I got to make sure I even have this stuff available. So what we'll do is come over here and maybe do, it's in globals, I think, yeah. Now bash, we have a linter available, a formatter available, auto format, and virtual text. Now virtual text, I replaced this with a diagnostics chunk. So let's go like this. Let's grab this diagnostics guy here. All right, save that. I don't even have the formatter. You know what? I don't think I have formatting active for Lua right now. Let's see if we can do that. So if we do Lua and then O dot, is my autocomplete not on? O dot, it might still be off. Hold up. And now it's going to complain about this. All right. O.lua dot, and we want formatter is equal to, and then we're going to pass it, let's see, we're going to pass this Lua format, like that. All right. Now I wonder if I can format. There we go. We can format that. That means we can format the other thing. So I don't even want to format that like that right now. And now what we wanted to do was not utils, Lua, utils, no, not this, globals, yeah. There we go. So now this is formatted nice and pretty. JavaScript I haven't done yet, so we're going to take that down and put it here. And the ones I'll be doing are Python, Bash, JavaScript, probably React, CSS, JSON, probably HTML, and maybe Java in the future, maybe. What's up, Airsoft? So, now let's get back to what I was doing. We have this. Now, what we want to do, we were going to set up Bash. So let's come here. We'll do EFM. All right. Now for Bash, for the shell arguments, we're going to do if, and then we have this little formatter thing. We already had that there. So we're going to do if, and I'm just going to, should I put Bash or SH? Because they call it SH, but it's a Bash language server, and it's like, is it Bash or is it SH? Is it this thing or that thing? You know, like, should it be something else? I think I'm just going to call it SH for now. So if SH formatter, because you technically, you know, you can use whatever you want. Now, if SH formatter is, and we're going to do shfmt, then sh arguments, we're going to pass in shfmt. Now this is accessed before it exists, so we're going to put that up there. And in what order am I putting these in? Shell check and then that? So we probably should do shell check afterwards, because I think insert will insert first, but I'm not sure. And then if, so that's the formatter. And now this would be the linter. So if, whoops, linter is equal to shell check, then add in shell check as well. And then we will pass for this. Just go down here, just in the order that I'm doing them, and sh arguments, and there we go. So now that one should be set up, and you can turn them on and off if you want to turn them on and off. What's another one? While we're here, we could do JavaScript and JavaScript React. Let's put them down there. Let's get rid of this. We'll put all of the junk at the bottom here. And then these are the ones, these are the languages I support anyway for like formatting and linting and all that kind of stuff. I want to make an init.lua, but I don't want to spend my time learning Lua just for NVim. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't mind learning languages anymore just for fun or whatever. Like, Lua is actually an extremely easy language to learn. Like, if you've learned Java, if you've learned C++, like, I think I've written code in so many languages like Java, C++, JavaScript, TypeScript, learned different frameworks like, you know, learning JSX and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you know, like HTML, CSS, and all those things, and like their derivatives like less and SCSS and all that kind of stuff, or SAS or whatever. And then you learn like Bash and all these different things, man. Like adding Lua to like my repertoire of languages that I know how to write is not going to be the end of the world. How's my experience using NeoGit versus Vim Fugitive? I don't really like either of them versus Lazy Git. Lazy Git is just easier for me to understand. After that time spent on config Lua scripting, you might prefer to switch to Awesome WM. Yeah, I might actually, because at least it's like an actual programming language. I thought about it, but I think if I'm going to switch, I probably would switch to DWM just so that I get an opportunity to write C again, because I haven't written C in a while, and if I have a reason to write C again, then that would be good, right? Like, I'd be happy to get a reason to do it, I guess. So now let's do, all right. See, this is why we have prettier and prettier global, and this was bad factoring, right? Because it's just like you have to come in here and choose if you want global prettier or if you want prettier used by node modules. Now, in the future, when I set up a path for the executable for prettier, then you can choose, where to find prettier. Yeah, and then maybe I'll set it to a default or something like that, and then you can like override it. Probably that's what I'll do. I'll have to set it to like a default, like the path. Yeah, and I can set it to a default because what I can do is over here, I can say like, what was I calling this shit? We'll create another one for something like linter flake 8 executable path. Yeah. So like under linter, let's think. You would have to like call it a different thing or something like that. I'm not going to do that right now, but yeah, you just have to think about like how you would set that up. So anyway, we got JavaScript, we got all these things. We don't want virtual text anymore because we have our new way of doing virtual text. And if this is not the best factored way of doing options and stuff like that, I believe you. But I mean, I think I just started learning Lua like, I don't know, like a week or two ago. So I don't think it's the end of the world. So we'll do that. We'll set all this stuff to initially true. We're going to have to swap out these linters in the future for something different. So that way you can choose the executable path and the linter type. I want to have like another nested table, like how diagnostics works. So you can just do like, all that. I might change it to like name, like linter name, like if you do something like linter equals, and then you have like a current linter or something like that, because you can use like black or yapif or autopep 8 for instance for Python, and I'm sure there's other ones for other ones. So it's like you would have something like name, but then you'd also have like scoped under linter, you would have things like flake 8 and all that kind of stuff. I might have to go see how like COC is doing it. Hello from Ukraine. What's up, Sasha? JetBrains monofont. Yes, JetBrains monofont. Now we're gonna get, okay, so we got JavaScript Diagnostics. And you could set like anything from this. You could make like any, option that you want about Python. You could say like, all the stuff that you can pass to LSP, all the different things, all the different arguments, everything that you want, right? And you can just do it from one file and one global options object, right? And you can just say like, okay, here's exactly how I want Python to behave. And then when I want to go tweak things about different languages, I can just come inside MV settings and just tweak anything I want, right? So we have this. Now we're going to do JavaScript. And this will be like in the future. Right now this is on GitHub, but in the future this will just be like in a wiki and then like as an option, like as a like a way to see how to do it, right? So this will be like general. And then this would be Python. All right. Now, so we got o.javascript.formatter equals prettier, right? And then let's see, JavaScript. You could do like linter. And I'm just going to say nil because I don't want to set it up with ESLint right now. And yeah, I don't think there's much else. We got the formatter. iSort isn't really a thing for that. Auto format we don't have set up yet, but we could, we'll do that in the future. So JavaScript dot auto format, we'll want that equal to true. And then, you could swap these out, but I'm not going to I'm only going to put that there once because unless I really want to swap them out, I'm not going to put anything there. So now, here, we already have shell done. Now we're going to do for every file type. So there's going to be one for JavaScript React, one for JavaScript, because they're separate, right? So JavaScript, right? Now, the nice thing about Prettier is it's more global. I guess the more tricky part about Prettier is it's more global. It's used across the JavaScript family. And, you know, I almost want to create like a meta category called like web. Not really, because there's other web server. Anything under like TSS server, right? Because there's multiple things. And so Prettier would be passed to like, not even just everything under TSS server. Like it handles so much. So like it would handle YAML, JSON, like all that shit, right? So that's kind of difficult, like in terms of thinking about factoring, like how you would do that, right? And like I said, like this whole chunk right here is going to be in its own file. Lua chunk is going to be in its own file. Almost like a class. They're going to be tables that are exported from files. That's the way that I think about things, because I've been, I guess, inundated with object-oriented programming for so long. Is Packer just a Lua version of Vim plug? Yeah, basically, you can think of it like that. It does other things, but you can think of it like that. So we're just going to put Prettier for now. I'm just going to make this the Prettier. I'm going to take this, put it under there, comment it out, and delete that piece. Right? And then what you'll be able to do in the future is swap out this Prettier guy here, and you'll be able to put in this if you want to, you know, point to that one, or if you want to point to a global Prettier. And then what it'll probably do is default to project scope. At least for, I would say for TypeScript, for React projects and stuff like that, it's going to default to this. For regular JavaScript, it will default to global, maybe not. There should be a default. I don't know if it should be global or project scope. I really don't know. Probably because you want to be able to use it even when you don't have a project, right? So that's what makes me lean towards setting it to global scope. But then you might be in a project and then you might like install it and then you might be like, well, how come it's not working here? So you're going to have to make a choice. You're going to have to make a determination. You could even actually I don't know. You might be able to check if it's there in the project scope first and then default to global, but I don't know. I don't really care that much. So same with ESLint. So that's that. We're going to put this down there, and then we're going to take you and put you up here. And this is all project scope. I'm just going to leave ESLint project scope. Now, what we need is we need very similar like to this. We're going to need well, we'll do it after this. And we'll say this is under the TSS server family, even though it's not. /web. Things like JavaScript, React, probably even Vue would be under this. JSON, HTML, CSS, and YAML. So they all use similar stuff. Now, okay, so now we have this, and we're going to want JavaScript arguments. And now we're going to say, like, okay, if, and we'll just grab the formatter and linter here. Yeah. Oop. Okay. Now, so we have this, we have this. Now we need like some if statements, so it won't be shell, it'll be JavaScript. So we're under, oh wait, we already have that. So JavaScript, and the formatter, prettier. And I guess there's other ones that exist out there, but I'm not adding it. I'm not adding in everything, right? ESLint, and I'll probably set this for ESLint D in the future because everybody tells me that that's so much better. Maybe I'll even have a separate one. And instead of this, actually, and even instead of this, we want JavaScript arguments, and we want to set that with prettier, and then we want JavaScript arguments, and then we want to put ESLint, right? And now what we can do is just for JavaScript, instead of doing like something like that, we can be more dynamic and just say JavaScript arguments. And really, I probably should put args, but whatever. It's not hurting anybody. Could you show how to set up for Java development? Maybe even make a standalone video on it? Yeah, it's going to have to be a standalone video for Java. And the reason I haven't done Java yet is because I know I can do tests for JUnit, but I'm having trouble installing something like a the VS Code thing that you need to do that. Ah, the vanilla theme. The vanilla theme is killing me. Just stopping by to tell you I appreciate your content. Thanks, Niels. Speakius, how's the config going? I think pretty well. You can look for project scope prettier in ESLint. Yeah. See, I'm just going to take this comment here and just to remind myself that that's what I'm going to do. So there you go. That's what we're going to do. So if it's found, use it. If not, default to global scope. I think that's the move. And we'll get rid of this weird character here. Right, so with tree sitter, does the color scheme highlights things like hashtag define and type def correctly in C++? It probably does. But I don't know because I haven't written C and C++ in a while. That's kind of why. That's the reason I'm thinking about switching over to DWM. Is just so I can write C and C++. Is there a reason to have both MVim tree and RMVimR? When do you use one over the other? Also, telescope can be used to find files. Yeah, so there's a difference, right, between all of these things. So, and I like to have them all. First of all, a tree view is totally separate. It's something I can leave up the whole time that I'm working in something, right? And I can see where everyone wants to say like, oh, if you have this, well, then you don't need this other thing. First of all, dude, it's a couple kilobytes. It's kilobytes, dude. It's not the end of the world, right? And so like people freak out, bloat. All right, dude, stop. You know, you've taken the Luke Smith pill, okay? You need to take a small break, like a step back, right? So here's the difference. You got this tree, right? And we can see, okay, this is how my project is outlined, all right? All text editors have this, like pretty much every single one. All IDEs, they have a tree, all right? Now, here's the thing. This tree doesn't show me images, right? So a good way to do images is this, right? I open RMVimR, right? And I go back into, we'll go back here, we'll go into NVim, we'll go into, I think it's in utils, media. Okay, I can see my images now. That's really useful to me, right? Now, what does RMVimR not do? Well, I can't search for text inside here and a million other things, right? So we'll get rid of this. Now, oh, I left this image on here. That's really nice. 1 second. That's Uberzug. That's an issue with that. So now the other thing is, and it's complaining about the stuff I'm working on right now. So the other thing is, if I want to search for text, right, I have, or anything, right? That's what I have Telescope for. So like if I want to search for, in my registers, for text, for marks, for different options, I guess this one does media files too, but that's like an extension that I just started playing with. Literally even like man pages inside of here, right? Like of my installed executables, right? Like there's a lot of things that you can do where like for adding a couple kilobytes to your project, right? Document diagnostics, Git branches, all that kind of stuff, right? by adding a couple kilobytes to your project, you can get a lot of functionality, right? And stuff that you'll probably use. So now, also, I have to figure out why Ubersdug's hanging on my terminal like that. That's not cool. But, you know, a lot of this stuff is experimental anyway. Like, if you're looking for something that works, like, perfectly, purely out of the box and has a ridiculous amount of paid support from Microsoft or something like that, then, you know, you can go have them collect your telemetry and have a worse editing experience, I guess. But, you know, there's reasons to have different software and to try it out and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of my channel's been around just showing off different things that you can do. So it all just kind of, you know, gets stuck in there anyway. Is there a reason to have? Yeah. So is VS Code plus Neovim better than Vim Simulation? Yeah, for sure. You're missing PHP. A lot of devs use it, and it's easy. So I don't write any PHP, right? So, like, I don't know every language on planet Earth and the best way to set it up, right? So if you know PHP, and you can see the easy way that, like, I'm setting this stuff with LSP config, put a PR in, and I'll accept it. All right, so we were doing this here. Now, it's telling me here already, line 50, attempt to index field sh with blah, blah, blah. So on line 50, we should see some nonsense. Now, this one shouldn't be the problem, because it's under shell check. Now, it could be because over in my MV globals, we have this. So we want that. There we go. Now, let's see. The next thing we're going to do is we have Prettier, we have ESLint, we have all these things. And now we need, let's see. We have JavaScript arguments. I think JavaScript's ready to go. But we're gonna do this thing this guy said in the future, like the FN glob thing, and if that exists, then use that. If not, use the global. But for now, I'm just, you know, just gonna use the global for that, and I'm just gonna use project scope for ESLint just because that's what I'm gonna do. Because it's just easier for me. I mean, I could still probably have both, but yeah, I'm just gonna have to set that up in the future. And by the way, you know, someone could put in a PR and do that too. The one thing VS does have is a good debugger. Yeah, it does have a great debugger, and it has good things where you can run like JUnit tests, right? There's all kinds of things the VS Code that does is like really crazy and very good, right? But here's the trade-off, right? If you're going to be using something like that, okay, so let's think about this logically, like where your future is going to be, right? In the, like, not too long from now, right? Like probably in like 5 years. Microsoft owns your text editor, right? So they own VS Code, right? And they have VS Code, and they collect all your telemetry data, and you write all of your code with, maybe you're a C# developer too. Maybe you develop in .NET. And so they run your text editor and the language that you use. Now, say you have a chat with a community, and that chat with your community is on Discord. Well, now Microsoft owns that too. Where do you push all your code? Well, Microsoft owns GitHub, right? So, and then God forbid you use Windows too. So now you're just a Microsoft, like, might as well, why don't you get paid? You know what I mean? So, you know, like to just use Microsoft tools all the time, right? Then say you use Outlook and all that stuff. People are locking you into ecosystems, you know, and they're like, and nobody's developing, like, I don't know, you just develop, like, why are there not companies anymore? You know, like, why are there not separate companies anymore that do their own thing, right? And so I'm just, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say these types of things in, like, you know, like my videos and things probably, but like I'm in a live stream, I'm just screwing around right now. So, you know, if you're here, then, but like, that's my thinking, right? Like you're just going to be, I wouldn't want that, right? Like I don't like that future, the one we're heading into, where I like get all my music and everything like that, and like all my packages from Amazon, and then all my email, my web searching, and like all this other stuff is done through Google, and then all of my code, if I'm doing code, everything is owned by Microsoft, every single last thing. And it's like, and everyone says, well, it's convenient. Okay, well, it's convenient. Well, then, you know, sure, I guess it's convenient. But think about what convenience steals from you, though, you know? Even if something's convenient. Because I definitely don't work on this thing like out of convenience all the time. Sometimes it's more convenient because it's a better editing experience. Like I use it at work, right? But yeah, I think this slow creep of like these companies owning the same companies owning everything. I don't care if it's separate ones. Like I'm not totally happy with it. I'd rather everything be like free and open source, right? Or at least free. Maybe not necessarily open source, but, and by free, you obviously know what I mean if you know what I mean. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the future we're heading into. I don't know how to put it. So let's see. We got that to work. Are we going to be doing JavaScript React right now? Yeah, I mean, it's just as easy as doing JavaScript, right? So what we'll do is we'll just take these ones, and I want to make it separate because I think it should be separate, at least for now. JavaScript React, and we're going to need a separate thing for arguments, script, React, and now, wait, no, we want that, and then we want arg. See, now this is where I'm going to call this one args because we're going to change these all back to args because that would be too long of a string for me personally. JavaScript, React. And this is another reason too that I'm about to switch away from, like, I have a MacBook because I've had a MacBook for a long time. But when I noticed that I couldn't access programs on my computer because Apple needed to, this is another thing. I'm locked into the ecosystem of Apple. I got an iPhone, and I got a MacBook, and you get an iPad, and then one day you have an iCar, and then one day you have an iBrain implant, you know, so, and just like eye contacts. So it's just like, you know, I want to get like, when I noticed I couldn't access any of my programs because Apple couldn't ping the internet, I was like, all right, I'm getting a System 76 with core boot, you know, and that's the next computer I'm going to get. It's weird, man. Like everything's completely monopolized. Like I'm not even like anti-capitalist or anything, like all that kind of stuff. Like I'm anti whatever the hell's going on right now. I don't know how to put it. Let's see. Wasn't even talking about VS Code, talk about Visual Studio. Yeah, even Visual Studio, but it's the whole thing, right? I can't switch to another editor. I'm using VS Codium. Yeah, that's good. Antitrust. I don't know much about antitrust. I don't know all the political things, you know, but I just know that I don't like what's happening. For LSP, do you have to manually install them, or can you specify a list in your config? I don't think there's an auto install thing yet for it. I think you'd have to manually install them, but if you're setting up on a machine, all you have to do is like literally just, no, you just have to do LSP install, whoops, install, and then choose, right? So it's not that hard, but in the future, I could see why you might want a list. I can work with Vim, but for large projects, big no-no. It depends what you mean by a large project. I work with pretty big-ass projects at work, and I use Vim, right? Discord also, right? For Microsoft, right? Yeah, I work on giant projects with Vim, like giant Java projects, believe it or not, and like they work fine. Like we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of code. It does take a while for it to boot up though, and sometimes it's nice just to turn off like some of the diagnostics and go through even faster. I hate text configuration files. Yeah, I don't like them too. I use plain mvim. There's something to be said for that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think you should use, you know, whatever you want to use, whatever works for you. You know what I mean? I think VS Code, VS Codium is a great editor, but still prefer Neovim. I don't think VS Code and VS Codium are good editors. I think they're good integrated development environments, right? But I think they're bad editors. And that's why I'd rather build an integrated development environment around a good editor rather than build a good editor into an integrated development environment. Have I heard about Neovim 2? I've heard about it, obviously, but I don't know. It's like, I gotta pay for it. Am I really gonna pay to edit text? I'm editing text just fine, the way that I'm doing it right now. Bot IP, please. I don't know what you mean by that, but that's why I moved to System 76. Yeah, I'm moving to System 76. You know what I'm getting? I'm gonna get a System 76 Lemur. I probably don't even need to put in Lemur, but yeah, this guy right here, this Lemur Pro right here, 14 hours. You get a 14-inch screen, which is pretty good. I don't know if it has kill switches, but it probably has something. I don't think it has kill switches, but it probably has something where you can turn the webcam off or something like that. You know, great processors and stuff. I'm definitely not using Apple Silicon too. Like, come on, man. And just all the problems that's going to introduce. 40 gigs of RAM. You know, dude, you still get like 8 gigs of RAM. You buy like a $2,000 computer from Apple. You get 256 gigs of SSD and 8 gigs of RAM. Dude, they're robbing you. And then you're trapped in their ecosystem. And then they're watching everything you do and taking all of your data. Every single time you open a program, it pings them. Every single time you do this or that, it pings them. You know, it's a scary future. I feel like because people can't see it, imagine you had like someone following you around. I think it would be freakier if this is how shit worked instead of like this this other way that it works. I think it would be weirder and people would be freaked out more. Imagine if I had like a little robot flying around next to your face at all times. And that little robot, when you opened up VS Code, it started like scanning everything you were doing. And then if you were opening any projects or anything like that on your MacBook, it started scanning the pages and seeing what you were typing. Same with Windows, right? You open up your email, it starts scanning. It's just like, do you really want this thing here, right? And that's what's happening, but it's happening like digitally. But yeah, it's got Core Boot, which is great because it's like, okay, you get all of Intel's bullshit off because you know they run like a web server. There's a thing called an IMI, right? Like Minix or something like that is being run on there, and so you don't want that. And then, yeah, like you can get 4 terabytes of NVMe storage. And by the way, you get this thing like all spec'd out. It's still cheaper than like, you know, one of the more base level like 13-inch MacBook Pros. And you don't have that stupid touch bar thing either. So, yeah, this is what I'm getting. As soon as I get rid of my MacBook. Something like this. I'm going to probably get rid of Pop! OS, but whatever. I don't think I need any more than 500, but I probably will go with that one. Don't need an additional. I'm pretty sure you can add new ones. Don't need a warranty. Don't need that. Shipping coverage, whatever. Yeah, all that is still less than $2,000. Still less than $2,000. Right? So you get 40 gigs of RAM. And an i7, and it's free, like free and open source kind of software, right? So like it's Core Boot, and it's less than $2,000. Go try and spec out a system like that over on Apple. Now their silicon is fast and all, and that's fine. But then again, dude, everything is just fast enough anyway anymore. I don't need like the super fastest thing ever. And then they have like a neural CPU and all this other bullshit. Man, I don't even care. Although getting to Oryx Pro to work on Arch was fun for me. Oryx Pros are a little bit too big for me. I tried the AUR, keeps crashing. What's in the AUR? Neovim, maybe? Waiting for configuration, I'll switch to Neovim. Yeah. Well, this configuration will probably take a while. I'm hoping there's more of a community effort to help with this stuff too. Otherwise, it's really just for me, so I don't really care. But paying for editing text is basically the reason I'm waiting until Tab 9 gets an open source alternative. Yeah, imagine Tab 9, like if there's an open source alternative to Tab 9, that would be pretty legit. Neovim 2 is open source and free for non-commercial use though, if you didn't know. But there's like a licensing thing. So, but like, yeah, but I want to use my editor everywhere. Unfortunately, I still have a job until everyone pays me to do YouTube full time, then then I won't care, right? But I guess commercial use is like, would I get in trouble somehow theoretically if I used it at my job? Their laptops look way too ugly. Soon they fix it, I'll get one. Dude, in what way is this an ugly laptop? What are you talking about? This is a handsome laptop. Stop with your I don't want to call you like a soy boy, but like these soy laptops that like Mac is coming out with, who cares anymore, okay? I don't care if it literally floats in my hand as I type. I don't want to use it anymore. I would rather use a just like an ugly ass laptop at this point. And this isn't even a bad looking laptop. This is a great looking laptop, right? But I would rather use a laptop that looks terrible as long as it's not tracking every single thing I do. And I don't know, I'm getting stuck in an ecosystem. I use a desktop waiting for laptops. For laptops, I'm waiting for RISC-V. Yeah, RISC-V will be cool. Open hardware, yeah. Open hardware is cool. This is why all humans should run Linux. All the spyware, yeah, man. I'm telling you, imagine the robot behind you at all times. You're looking something up on the internet you think is a little... Okay, well, the robot's there. You know what I mean? Everything you're doing is being inked, typed, right? Like, right now I'm on Arch Linux. I feel relatively safe on this, right? And there's different levels of these things, right? Like there's, I guess, Brave, and who knows if you can trust Brave in that. But there's like the Brave search, and when the Brave private search comes out, I will opt to use that over Google for most things, But I'll even go freer if I can. I've been trying to use, this is LibreWolf, right? LibreWolf is great, right? It works like Firefox does. You can have the extensions and shit that you want. And Firefox is becoming an evil company too, if you didn't know. So, move over to something like Libre. If you want two alternatives, here's the scary alternative. The worst you should be doing is running Brave. Like that should be the worst browser you're running. The absolute shittiest browser, because here's the thing. It pays you, right? It pays you in BAT. I've made money on BAT, right? So why not just get BAT, right? That's the worst you should be running. The best, LibreWolf and Ungoogled Chromium. Those are what you should be doing. I intend to buy an Asus Zephyrus G14 as my next laptop. Sure, man. Sure. As long as it's not freaking Apple at this point. Just put Linux on it. Core boot will not ditch 100. Yeah, it won't. But, we try to do better, right? We try to get where we can. I think there's Pure Boot, which is why I was thinking about doing a Purism. But I don't know what's going on with AMD, too. Like, if AMD has a thing. So, I don't know. What would I use 40... It's not the point, right? I probably wouldn't use 40 gigabytes of RAM, right? But I can get 40 gigabytes of RAM and spend less than $2,000 is, I guess, my point. Yeah, we don't like Intel spyware. We're not happy about that. It's funny when people buy JB subs and install Vim extensions for key bindings. I don't like when Vim extensions give me auto key bindings. I like to set my own for whatever thing that they give me. Did you ever try Nix or NixOS? No, but everyone wants me to. What am I going to do for tonight? I don't know. Do you actually take technical notes? You use Neovim for that? What do you mean by technical notes? I write readmes and Markdown and stuff like that. What do you mean by technical notes? I open a text file if I want to take notes, and then or a Markdown file, and I push it up to my website. Ugly is very subjective. For example, this laptop doesn't suit my taste. I prefer less bevel or something. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, look, Apple is a company that has $3 trillion and giant marketing teams and teams who are, building all this stuff, and they have slave labor in China, okay? So, of course, they're going to have pretty bezels. All right? Like, come on. Not that it matters much, but still, yeah. My friends don't believe me when I tell them that you can't get malware on Linux. You basically can't. And people should be using it more, but come on. They're like, we know who we're dealing with. They may never be initiated. Specious, yeah. Because Linux just happens to be more secure. Yeah. Yeah, you can. but it happens to be way more secure, right? Linux being more secure and even being so much so that it is not needed antivirus at all is impressive, but it's still not, right, you could still probably get it. Yeah, I think AMD has a thing too, so we don't want that. We don't want that. We want the, I guess someone was talking about RISC-V architecture. Maybe there's something out there that in the future, I know there's like rock chips or something like that I heard of. Imagine the people who have like Chromebooks though. What are you doing? Come on, man. Mac never had spyware and viruses until Mac became more popular. I don't know if it was the death of Steve Jobs that did it or what, but like, dude, the second like a Pine phone becomes like a viable, by the way, Linux phones are a total meme. The Librem 5 and the Pine phone are garbage. And right now, in the future they may not be, but right now they are. So in the future I'll definitely be using one. Have I ever tried Emacs? No, I don't have time for that. Not right now. Actually, I did try Emacs. You can find an Emacs config over on my GitHub if you want to see how I used to do it. I mean, if you're installing stuff with any package manager which is curated by a bunch of people, it's practically impossible. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Emacs? I think Emacs is fine. I like what System Crafters is doing. System Crafters, they did Gemini, the website, or the browser, Gemini browser or whatever, something like that. I thought that was cool. YouTube, System Crafters. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, here's like a bunch of, if you want like a bunch of Emacs content and you want to live in Emacs and you don't want any, if you want Emacs to essentially be your ecosystem, then, you know, go check this guy out. Because he does all the Emacs things. Startpage.com to do a Google search for you and sending the result to you if you need the Google search. Never do Google Direct. Yeah. Yeah, I use Startpage on my other computer. Bruh. Yeah, well, I hate Apple, and Apple doesn't even suit my taste either. I don't like very curvy designs. Yeah, well, I don't care. I think Apple has great designs. I think they're amazing, but I don't like them. Chris, I get an error with your telescope configuration. Says error in Lua chunk complaining about some loop. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Isn't a regular Android basically a Linux phone? You can't just install a distro over it and run Arch on the go. You might be able to, but Android is also, come on, man. You think there's not trouble in Android? There's trouble in Android. There's big trouble. There's big trouble in any of those Android, Linux phones, whatever, you know. Tried Emacs, but it lags a lot? Maybe, I don't really know. You should get used to things like, really, you can do that in DuckDuckGo? See, I don't know these things. System Crafters. Wow. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know these things. Okay. But yeah, anyway. This is why I want to use Odyssey. That's why I show Odyssey, because I'd rather, like right now, everything gets uploaded on Odyssey. I would rather people support me over on Odyssey, because Odyssey, at least right now, is pretending to be more open, you know, than what YouTube is. I do want to get off Twitter, but right now I just use Twitter as like advertising my stuff. Like I don't use it. I would never like put any information here. I would never DM someone on Twitter. I would never like talk to somebody on Twitter or anything like that. I just use it as like, okay, come find my blog. This is my social presence here because you guys are already here. And then here's all the stuff I make. You know? Same way YouTube, you know? I want to get off Discord, but I already have a community of like 1,000 people there. So it's like, it's hard. Yeah, people have drawn similarities between my channel for Neovim and his for Emacs. The problem with Sumneco is where it says max preload is too low, 1,000, and you can add max preload. Okay, there you go. Well, I guess that's the move. Probably do that in the Sumneco Lua config. If you want to put a PR, I'll take it. Anyway, before my rant goes any longer, We have JavaScript React Rs, JavaScript React Rs, prettier, ESLint. And let's go here. React args. HTML. JavaScript. We need JavaScript React. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. I think that's probably fine because I just use these ones global anyway. For now. I mean, obviously I want to set up the config for them, but I've just, I haven't gotten around to it. Same with Markdown. So, yeah. I think that's probably fine for that. Now, is this all good? Well, yep. JavaScript React is the same. Something we want to add to JavaScript React is this, and then we'll do boom, boom. All right, and then we'll do one of these. Paste that in. Feel like that should have done a better job formatting. That or something else is wrong. Why is it not formatting? This thing hates me sometimes. Little format is equal to low format. Why you no format? I'm not going to format in here because I don't want to do that. We're going to do no globals. Yes. There we go. Now it formats. Must have disabled it or something last time I was in here. Now we got CSS and JSON. We're going to comment those out for now. So what we have set up is the languages that I use pretty often besides Java. Python, Lua, shell scripting, JavaScript, and JavaScript React. That's mostly what I do. Now, I do not have the diagnostic stuff set up in those though. So the way that you'll do that is you'll go to Python here, and we're going to grab this handler. And actually the best way to grab a chunk of text in, Vim, at least that I know of, is what we do is we do like something like V, and well, we do like something like this, capital V, and then we would do %, which will take us down to, the next closing brace, and then we'll take that. There's probably a better way, but that's the way I do it. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to pop in a handlers thing, and we're going to set this to JavaScript. Problem is, this is used for JavaScript React. Yeah, but that's not a big deal, I guess. This is going to have to be under TSS server and not under the other ones. Because the JavaScript React one won't even do anything. Might have to use this all in the same, honestly. JavaScript and JavaScript React might have to be all under TSS server. Trying to think of the best way to do it. We'll just have one JavaScript section. Might have to do it that way, honestly. So if we come up to, see if anyone said anything here. Yep. Really? Odyssey? Let's see if it's Odyssey, if Odyssey works. I feel like Odyssey's too long. Odyssey. Chris at machine. Nah, didn't work. Oh well. Did I spell Odyssey wrong though? No, I didn't. I have a bad habit of opening Google to search for stuff, even if I have DuckDuckGo as my default search engine that I get rid of. Try Start Page, maybe. Can you please show your telescope configuration? Sure. I just added a PR for Max Preload. Cool. So my telescope configuration. Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Telescope configuration. There you go. This is it. That's what I got. And you can find it up on GitHub. It hasn't changed. See, nothing here is different. Yeah. All right, let's get out of that. Let's jump over here. Got this in there. Yeah. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of this. No, leave that. Get rid of this. And now what JavaScript gets, or JavaScript React gets, is the JavaScript args. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Now what we'll do is wherever we see JavaScript arguments, actually no. First of all, yeah. All right, let's do this in a couple ways. LR, and what we're gonna do is JavaScript args. Right? And now that matches these down here, we're going to change that to TS server underscore args. There you go. And now that will get passed for those unused markdown lint. Where? The hell is this thing talking about? Okay, it came from here. I was like, where the hell is that coming from? This doesn't work right now. So we're going to get rid of that anyway. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to do that. We're going to say JavaScript. We're going to say, instead of this, we're just going to get rid of that. We're going to say this is TSS server, or TS server. And then we're going to do, let's save this really fast. GamerFlex SA. Was that for save all maybe or something like that? It should be WA. I think does that. I need to start doing that more often. WA. Globals. Yeah. So we're gonna toss this, and we're gonna change this. TS server. And then we're gonna go into MV settings and TS server. There you go. And now we're gonna jump up here and go over here. Oh wow. Did it change it here too? Wow. That did better than I thought it would do. I didn't think it was that good. I didn't think the LSP was that good. All right. So that's pretty much what I want to do. Let's see if we can save and quit here. See if any errors are thrown. None seem to be thrown. We're just going to set this equal to false for now. We'll do the auto commands in another video. All right, so I think that's all I'm going to do for this video. I think that's pretty much it. If anyone wants to say anything else here, if anyone wants to ask some last minute questions, I will answer them. But I'm going to, while I push this stuff up to GitHub, if no one has any questions after I push everything up to GitHub, then I will end the stream. So Lazy Git, we're going to add this, and this. Yep. And yeah, let's see. So commit message will say added more user options. Sure. And we will get rid of that file. All right, we're nice and clean. Now, like I said, in the future, this is not going to be there. This is going to be something you define on your own. Yeah. Well, it might be there, but it'll be empty. It'll be empty. That's how it'll work. And then I'll find a way to not track it or something. I don't know. Does anyone know how to quit NVim Explorer automatically? Yes. So all you have to do, and I could even, you could put a setting for this, right? We could say like, you know, we'll do one setting for that really fast. So you could do something like this. In globals here, we could do o.auto close tree equals false, because that's going to be the default behavior. And then we'll go to the MV settings and we'll do o.auto close tree, which should now be there. We'll say that's now equal to true. And then we'll go to nvim tree, which is here. Now this is interesting, like zeros and ones and all this shit. I don't know, does it have to take a, it has to take an integer. So instead of that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pass, really have to take an integer? It's not true or false? That's really stupid. Auto close tree is equal to 0. We'll come down here. I'll set it equal to 1. Oh, come back here. And then we'll go over here and we'll say, whoops. Wait, that's disabling that. Auto close, here we go. O.auto close tree. All right, now we have this. Save this, close out of this. MV settings. All right. There you go. Now it auto closes. And then if we wanted it to not do that, Control X. Right, and now be over here, we'll close this. And now it doesn't auto close. And that's something that's kind of been the idea of this stream. How do you resolve conflicts with Lazy Git? I don't know. I don't really do that. Merge conflicts, I usually just go searching around for where the merge conflicts are in the files that it tells me they are in, and then I just go put what I want. When is the configuration complete? I don't know, man. Probably never. This is something I mostly do for myself. I just added a bang request for Odyssey and DuckDuckGo. It's up to them now. Cool. Nice. All right. Well, it's 5:30 and I'm tired, so I'm done. I'll see you guys probably in the next stream. Hopefully maybe there'll be more ranting about Apple and stuff as I switch away from them. Who knows? But all right, see you guys later.